Please come back now. Siya mo. There goes my mind racing. Anjing maman racing. Anjing maman racing.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to the first match of the quarterfinals for 4DMWC. I am one of your commentators. My name is Era Basil, and with me is the lovely Dynascape.
Hello, everyone. You could not start off this quarterfinals as hot as this. Honestly, we've got Indonesia seed 9 versus Mexico seed 14. Not honestly, two teams that I would not want to face in the losers bracket myself. So this should be a very interesting matchup.
These teams are scary. Like, both of these teams are really high seed. They are both very strong in things that they're skilled at, and I'm going to be honest with you. I can see this match going either way.
I can too. I think that um, the game plan should be quite simple for both teams, but one of these teams can really deviate more than the other. So Indonesia, very good at SV and also very good at Rice. However, Mexico is very good at LN and also, interestingly enough, picks a lot of hybrid, which is something that we don't see very often in tournament play, especially when you have as many as 6 players on a team. Definitely something you don't see every day. So the pick process throughout this set should be super interesting. And I'd really like to see where both teams go once some of the picks are exhausted and points are exchanged.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I can see Indonesia honestly picking SVs. So that's probably going to have to be one of the bans for Team Mexico. But at the same time, on the other hand of the coin, Mexico is likely going to be the one that's picking all the long notes and hybrids. Don't get me wrong, though. Indonesia is definitely very strong with the long notes, but at the time, especially with the information that they probably have scouted for, they're just a little bit too weak against Mexico. Mexico, though, that being said, has very consistent accuracy, very consistent. But Indonesia, as we all know from some of the players that are on their team, very fast.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think when we talk about Indonesian players and their LN skill, I think it comes down to third man syndrome a lot of the time where that third player doesn't get as good of a run as they'd like, and maybe that's why it contributed to their loss against China last week. But for Mexico, they had quite the scare as well, winning 6-4 over Australia last week. And to remind everyone, Australia was seed 30, so it was quite the upset brewing halfway into the match, but Mexico did manage to pull it back.
The seedings are almost irrelevant. I'm sorry to say, like, Australia played so phenomenally well. Like, they'd give any team a run for their money, even if it was a high seed for sure. But it is kind of nerve-wracking going from seed 30 to now going against a single-digit seed. Indonesia, of course, being seed number 9. And obviously very high seeds, and top seeds, in fact, almost top seeds for SV and even the Rice picks.
Oh, sorry. I think qualifiers are a pretty good determiner at this point because, it's hitting around that quarterfinal level. I think you could say that some of these maps are very similar in terms of difficulty, especially things like Rice 2 for the qualifiers or stuff like LN2, things like that. So again, we can always look to some of these qualifier seedings. However, sometimes we have like super standout players, and one of these players that I want to really focus on for this match is Wish Tonight on the Indonesian team, because last round they were the hot hand, pretty much getting a top 10 player performance on almost every map they played, and absolutely destroying any Rice and LN map thrown their way. They are probably one of the most consistent players in this tournament right now for this difficulty.
This is right up their alley, 100% without a doubt. Wish Tonight is... I mean, I don't know too much about players from every single country, but Wish Tonight is a name that I've heard pop up more times than I have not. from even people in non-Indonesian countries or non-Indonesian country. There's somebody I was talking to in Spain, and they were talking about how good Wish Tonight is. They haven't even gone against them. So if they can maintain that consistency and their teammates do as well, I don't know. Mexico's going to have a really hard time, really difficult time trying to take the lead from Indonesia.
Yeah, 100%. And you talked about how Mexico was probably going to ban SB right off the start, and I'd have to agree with you there. Even against Australia, they went ahead and banned SB1 for their first ban. Even though Australia wasn't really known as an SB team, they went ahead and did ban SB1, so I do think that is probably coming up. I think Sing Sing Red Indigo, which is SB1 for this round, is going to be, again, probably Mexico's first ban. As for Indonesia, I think they're going to opt to have to ban some kind of hard LN, because I think that's where Mexico really shines. So Tricolor Prism is something that I'm looking at, where I think that it's one of the harder LNs in the pool, so I think they're going to target that.
This might be an unpopular opinion. I'm almost willing to put a wager that I think they're going to ban Hybrid 3.
Ooh.
Hybrid 3, I mean, if anyone's played the map pool, I can barely even play Hybrid 3. That's a hard chart. It's such a long note, awkward, and also oddly dense chart. And then on top of that, you've got a chart that's 4.5 minutes almost. So I could definitely see them considering to ban Hybrid 3, thinking that Mexico might be able to be a little bit more consistent in that hybrid kind of area. Although I'd be very, very shocked if we saw consistent FCs do any team that we're going to see this entire round of quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's actually a great prediction. I totally forgot about Restless Song. That one's kind of crazy, and yeah, for sure, if that doesn't get picked, it's got to be something on Indonesia's list, whether it's their first ban, their second ban, something like that.
Yeah, I can see Team Mexico actually picking it. That being said, even for these stronger teams, these charts are hard. They might not be able to play that up to par to where they think that they're comfortable enough against a team as strong as Indonesia. So I guess we'll have to see. Also, there's not a whole lot going on in terms of Mexico's strengths compared to Indonesia. It looks like they're strong at about the same type of patterns. It's just Indonesia's kind of popping off just a little tiny bit more. Anything can happen. That
much slightly better at some of these maps. Totally get that. But we'll have to see how both of these teams really deal with the difficulty jump, because again, quarterfinals probably the largest jump that we'll see in the tournament in terms of difficulty, now that a lot of the teams are out of this tournament. So, you know, physicality is always a thing to consider, and even though on paper maybe you don't think Mexico is a super highly physical team, or at least has a high physical ceiling, I think that maybe they can pull something crazy off and maybe stun Indonesia on a couple of maps.
Indonesia better not be comfortable. That's an absolute certainty. But that goes with anybody playing in the quarterfinals. There's no room to be comfortable. Every single team that's been able to make it here so far is top of the line, top-notch kind of coordination with their team, and it's all scary. You let up for just a little tiny bit, the momentum's shifted, and that's it, and that can be game over.
Totally agree with you there. And as Mexico's warm-up ends off, we are gonna go ahead and get into the pick, ban, and protect phase.
Funny enough, actually, I think Mexico would have won that warm-up if Lunix didn't. I think they unplugged their computer. They unplugged their keyboard or something. It happened in the earlier rounds, but like, for a gamer, that was kind of crazy.
Maybe went to go to the bathroom before
Look at the
any maps were picked.
Go for it. Oh, and Team Mexico. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Very, very close, but Mexico will be able to have the first protect and have the first pick. Again, I would not be surprised if Mexico... What would they protect? Probably on the hybrids. Maybe hybrid 3. Maybe they think that Indonesia might go for that ban.
Hybrid 3, LN5, always good picks for those teams that are, you know, reaching towards the noodles. However, maybe something else. I mean, Barracuda could be an interesting one as well. Just something to really shake Indonesia, something that they're not comfortable on. Because honestly, I don't see Indonesia as a super LN oriented team,
Whoa.
and they are gonna go for
Ah,
Barracuda.
you were right. Indonesia's protect though. SV. Yeah, there you go. There
So
we go.
quickly,
SV too. Yeah, they were ready for that one. I'm surprised they didn't protect SV1, but to be fair, listen, as an SV player myself, as an SV enthusiast, I can even tell when a chart is very, very difficult. I would be shocked if you can manage to find a full team of 3 players that were extremely consistent at SV1. It's just so easy to just get, oh, looks like we're gonna have that ban. That's, yeah, kind of expected there though.
Totally. Yeah, you said it pretty much as well as I could have. Sing Sing Red Indigo is just a demon of a chart, and so I do get that it is kind of surprising that the less memo-oriented chart is not banned, or yeah, is protected, I guess. And Sing Sing Red Indigo being banned is a bit weird, but I mean, I guess Indonesia just overall is comfortable on it. And based on Mexico's SV2 score last week, I don't think that they can really put up much of a fight on the SV chart either way.
You know, so the little bit of mistake with the ban that's actually from team, I believe, Indonesia. Yeah, Indonesia banned Hybrid 3. Looks like it was accidentally put in with Hybrid 4. But that was kind of expected. Again, Mexico likely probably taking that SV, sorry, not the SV, the Hybrid 3 point. So
Yeah, I mean, no huge surprises over in this protected ban phase. But as we get into the first couple of picks, it seems like Mexico is going to surprise us with this one. Rice 2, in fact, opting to go for a Rice map straight away.
this is probably one of the hardest songs to play for me. Because how can I play when dancing so hard? Like, this is such
Yeah.
a jam. I love this song so much. This is like a perfect pick, and I'm interested in seeing how Indonesia's gonna play on this. I think Mexico, honestly, maybe a little bit biased because I know a lot of the players there. They're really ACK oriented, and it's really an ACK chart. I wouldn't be surprised if Mexico does take this. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, chili sauce is really a banger. A lot of kind of the same patterns that you'll see in a lot of the other Rice picks, where it's kind of like very trilly, some speedy burst, some mini jacks to go into the transition, stuff like that. But overall, I mean, a big challenge lies ahead for both Indonesia and Mexico, and as both of them pull up their rosters, we're gonna see Wish Tonight, Rackenoven, and I Saga for Indonesia. On the side of Mexico, we're gonna see Silit, Lunix, and Happer Gamer.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that we're not seeing Mapsa out on a chart like this. Mapsa being one of Team Mexico's, in my opinion, strongest ACK players. But it could just be that this team that they currently have is just way too good at it.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that they're...
I think Mapsa was pretty much a mainstay for both weeks 1 and 2. So maybe that, again, maybe that bump in difficulty was enough to push Mapsa out, or maybe just either they're not warm, or they aren't online, or they just don't like this map. Could be anything.
I would not be good if they weren't online. Not too good, but I'm sure that they're there. So we're gonna get right into it. Chili Sauce, again, one of the greatest songs in my opinion of this entire round. Really consistent too. There's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's all pretty straightforward, which is probably exactly what you need for the nerves, since especially being in the quarterfinals, in the losers bracket, there's a lot riding on this. And unfortunately, we're gonna actually see Lunas the first miss. Really not too good, but gotta shake out those nerves a little bit.
Exactly, really tough start for Mexico, but thankfully it is in the start, so there's a lot of ground to be made over the course of this map. And as all players except for Lunix get into the combo cap, we are going to see Wish Tonight absolutely killing it as expected, whereas
Wow.
Hyper Gamer and Slit are matching Rackenoven and I Saga quite well.
I almost didn't even notice that. It's because there's too much Rainbow 320s over there. 99.91. And honestly, it's like basically raising at this point. Wow, great scores by everyone too. And Indonesia, really consistent, very, very consistent on this chart. which isn't exactly what you want to see for Team Mexico.
Exactly.
Especially being their point.
200s being taken by Hypergamer, so lagging a bit behind in terms of accuracy since we last saw them, and still actually taking a couple of late 200s there as well. So no one on the side of Mexico is pushing for that 990. However, on the side of Indonesia, Rakhanovan still doing well, being that second supporting character for Wish Tonight, and Ice Saga doing well to match against the top scorer of Mexico, which is Silit.
Yeah, Silit's honestly crushing it, but Silit's like a jack of all trades. From everything I've seen, they're so consistent with long notes, good with hybrids, and apparently can play this higher end stuff with the Rice. At a really good level, really consistent level, especially with Hopper as well. And Lunix, I mean, they might have missed, but they're no laughing matter. They're still holding very solid accuracy, especially with the miss. But I'm not too sure if it's going to be enough to take over Indonesia here.
Yeah, the lead is quite large at this point, 13,500 points over on Indonesia's side, and there's only a third of the map left, so it looks like Indonesia is going to need to drop about 2 or 3 times, honestly, in this last third for Mexico to be able to take it, because even though Lunix has been rock solid since that first shake, Silit and Hypergamer's accuracy just is not enough to match the 3 people on Indonesia's side. They're just such a very strong trio on Rice, it seems, and even though I said that maybe Indonesia would have a third man problem with Silit dropping now, it does look like Indonesia is very much poised to take this map.
And everyone and Lunix dropping as well. But everyone from Team Indonesia hitting all these weird trills, and as we come into the end of this chart, there's not really much of anything else that's really possible to miss on. So, great job by Happer again carrying Team Mexico, but unfortunately it's not going to be quite enough, as Indonesia is going to be pulling out in the lead here. And West Tonight with a fantastic consistency, barely dropping any 300s even towards the ending. The first point's going to go to Team Indonesia, which is not something you want to see if you're Team Mexico, especially on your pick.
Right. 1,200 on their side, almost V1 SS, almost 995s the map, and it's crazy to think about because, again, looking at Mexico's side, without those misses, that would have been a crazy team score and probably beat a lot of other teams. They were very consistent and did well to keep over pretty much 99.6 for most of the map, but Rakhanovan and Isaga giving really good supporting scores, again 992, 983. So Indonesia, very dominant start to this match, and also the first breakpoint, so they are going to get this next pick.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little bit weird, but this almost the reason why I personally like failing the roll and having the other team pick first, because get out all of my excess little bit of nerves, get them all out on their chart, so if we do lose the point, it's not a big deal because we can make that comeback. But yeah, not very good. If you're Team Indonesia, probably, I wouldn't say jump straight into Protect, but probably just another difficult Rice. Honestly, Rice 3. Although I heard that chart's relatively difficult, so.
Yeah, Rice 3, maybe Rice 4 as well. Slammer is quite a doozy, but they're gonna go for a hybrid 1.
Interesting. I mean, definitely not a bad call. If your team can FC this chart consistently, I mean, if Mexico's missing on Rice 2, maybe that's something to note there.
That's true, because this map is actually really speedy, so it's maybe a good choice in Indonesia's head, where just hit them with speed, hit them with power, and watch Mexico topple over as they can't get over that physical gap between the Indonesian players.
Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised we're seeing Hybrid 1 come out so early, though. That being said, I am glad it wasn't banned. I was worried it might have been a really high ban chart due to the SV that is in the chart. Some of the players have been calling it SV3 apparently, which is a little bit of a long shot, but it is a bit tricky.
Yeah, I mean, the SVs aren't really anything, but again, ABC's main difficulty is the speed, and as we load up players, there's gonna be one switch out for Indonesia. We are gonna see Nayu come in for Rakhanovan, and also on Mexico's side, it seems like we are gonna take out, I believe it was Lunix?
Yes, DT Lunix.
So maybe Maps Mapsa can come
Yep,
in
there you
for
go.
this. And yeah, right on cue. So very, very solid squads, something that we'd expect from both sides. And as we try to load into the game, Indonesia and Mexico looking for that next point.
Yeah, we also got Martin coming in on Team Mexico. Really strong player, of course, but that kind of goes for goes for saying for every single player currently in this tournament. So it's not too accurate.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm interested in seeing how they're going to perform, how Team Mexico's going to perform in Hybrid 1. Hybrid 1 is, of course, a pretty predominantly rice chart. There are some kind of awkward long notes, but even if you're not a long note player, they should be very simple to hit. It basically just plays out like a tech chart, almost like a dump tech chart. And we're gonna get into it. I'm really excited to see this match here.
Yeah, I get what you mean when you say like a dump tech chart, because Polyphia really just known for like that math rocky vibe. So just it really lends to those kinds of patterns. And quite a rough start for some of these players. I don't really blame them. It's very, very staggered, very interesting snappings, lots of flams. So Mapsa Saga kind of tied, whereas Wish Knight just so solid. I mean, that start was as technical as you could get, and being able to put up almost a 99.9 at the start is insane and really leads to Indonesia just having that 3,000 point barrier separating them between Mexico.
All players hitting the SV. Congratulations, very, very good. But yeah, I do agree. So the beginning of this chart is, in my opinion, one of the hardest parts to actually hit accurately, other than maybe the ending, which you got a little bit of nerves, it's kind of a bit more tense. But the rest of the chart, it flows very, very well. And we are actually, I didn't even notice, we saw a drop coming in from Saga. We're going to see another drop coming from Saga as well, which is not very good for Team Indonesia. You definitely don't want to lose your point and then just have it flip-flop back a little bit.
Yeah, 2 misses over on Saga's side, but the silver lining being that Wish tonight and Nayu are doing way better than the 3 players on Mexico's side, which is still Mapsa and Martin. With Mapsa missing, I think this lead is going to switch quickly over to Indonesia, so they just need to hold strong for this last half.
Oh, Animus coming in from Martin! That almost, I don't want to say that seals the deal, but that lead's going to be pretty high by the time both of them get up to the combo cap.
Yeah, and it's such a barrier too, because Wish Knight and Nayu look so comfy on this map, whereas Silit and Martin and Mapsa are taking a lot of 200s compared to their competitors.
At the same time, as a chart as tricky as this, I wouldn't be shocked if the scores I'm seeing from Nayu and Wish Knight are going to be some of the highest seeds that we're going to see on this map for this round.
Yeah, Silit breaking twice, the no more FCs on the side of Mexico. I think that this map is probably over, done and dusted with. And even though, again, as you said, this last ending is pretty technical, I mean, Indonesia is having a time with it and absolutely killing it. 26,000 points of a lead as the song closes out, and only really the stain being iSaga's double break at the beginning, plus that one in the middle. Indonesia puts up a very scary team score and possibly 2 FCs, unless that's a Bancho miss. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I think that was. Yeah, I was lying. I was a little bit worried myself too. I was like waiting, pretty tense. 6 greats. That is a score. 1.
Yeah,
1.
That's insane.
1 great.
What is that, Nayu?
All right. Okay. 4DM, ladies and gentlemen. 4DM. Wow.
So 2 crazy team scores over on Indonesia. 2 990s for them, going to be rewarded with that second point. And Mexico, ball is in their court now. They've got to be kicking themselves for that first RC2 pick. They probably want to be standard and go back to LN, because honestly, it didn't work out for them on Chili Sauce.
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst time to try to maybe bring out your Protect. Well, no, they already did. I'm not too sure what they'd pick here, actually. Yeah, I mean, maybe Barracuda? Doctrine?
Yeah, Barracuda looks good. Doctrine looks good. I mean, honestly, seeing the physical barrier between these 2 teams, at least shown in Chili Sauce and ABC, Tricolor Prism looks kind of dicey right now.
Yeah, I'm not too positive about LN5, but hey, if they're good, if they can get consistent, if they can FC, that's all that really matters. We're gonna see LN4. We are gonna see actually Viden. It might be Viden or Vidin. I actually don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna opt for Vidin just to keep the consistency. But this map, pretty standard. Not too many tricks, not too many crazy snaps, unlike a lot of the other maps in this pool. So very, very vanilla first pick in the LN pool for Mexico. So they're just testing the waters for now.
Probably not the worst idea to pick a chart like this because it's very, very short, especially compared to some of the long notes that there are available. So maybe if they're feeling a little bit tense, get a little bit of nerves, especially being down 0-2, try to get that momentum to shift it back around without having to possibly miss with one of those 4 3-minute long songs.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, if they take this point, it's a pretty good avenue into trying to see what other LNs they can go into, because Vidin being that kind of coordination-y element to it in the non-Kiais, and then in the Kiais you have the density sections with the weird, I guess, anchoring. So a lot of things can lead into this after the map is over. Maybe Mexico can look towards something like Doctrine or even like World Execute, something like that. But first they have to win this point. They do not want to hand over a second break point to Indonesia, because being down 0-3 and then your opponent having the pick is very much a position that no one wants to be in.
And having to protect, which is not very fun. If you're Team Mexico, you're just hoping that Indonesia starts missing, that they maybe can't keep up the long notes at this kind of round, and maybe 1 or 2 of them miss, and you guys being able to consistently FC, that could be game changing.
Yeah, 100%. I think that Indonesia, again, when I said it in the start of the broadcast, I really think it's true that maybe sometimes that they have that third man syndrome, because Wish Knight and Nayu are so rock steady. I mean, we saw it on ABC. Nayu won 200, won 100. Wish Knight, really good MA, 6-200s. So the player to look for is iSaga on this map, or just really any LN map in general. That third player that's not Wish Knight, that's not Nayu. You got to be looking at them to maybe take a miss, and for the Mexican team to... Oh, Dex not hitting their keyboard notes.
Might be a either server thing or maybe a restart kind of thing. Keyboard's not working.
Yeah, hopefully that's a crazy Bancho thing going on, but also maybe not. Hopefully the referee can maybe restart this one.
There we go. Well, sometimes that's a good strat. getting the song to play a little bit, so get out of your nerves, but that's not exactly probably what happened.
The hidden restart strat.
Maybe. At the same time, iSaga might have dropped a few times, but the parts that they didn't drop on, they were still very consistent. And they were able to play up to that speed, especially in something like Hybrid 1, which is very, very fast. I think Saga might have just had a little bit of nerves. But if those nerves get too bad...
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very scary point to think about. Honestly, I'd like to see how the first Ki goes, because that is the main bulk of it. I do think that maybe you can like do some 200 minimization during the first couple of coordination sections, but really the bulk of the difficulty and anywhere that these 6 players are gonna break is gonna be in the Ki.
Yeah, Dex apparently is back now, so I'm not too sure what happened there, but hopefully it didn't throw the players off of their game, which it definitely can happen. You know, when you're really hyped, when you're ready to do something, and then you have to restart, you have to wait a minute, take some of those timeouts. It's just, it feels kind of awkward to get back into. But it looks like
it's like icing your opponent, or like icing the kickers, something like that. You know, that kind of like mental fortitude is needed when, you know, you go into a map and you're locked in, and then all of a sudden you're being kicked out and the referee board is like, oh, what happened? But you just really just have to reset your mindset and focus up again really quickly, because
yeah, definitely. It looks like a little bit of technical difficulties, but Shouldn't be anything that lasts too long. We love the client.
Yeah. Bancho being known for being very consistent with their performance, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
we've had our
you
fair
wouldn't be
share of
wrong. You definitely wouldn't be
hiccups
wrong there.
for the first couple of weeks. I think at one point even Bancho just being down for all of Osu at one point during one of the matches that we were streaming. But finally,
Probably
both of
doesn't. Yeah.
these teams are back into it. We are gonna have that reset of Vidin.
Probably doesn't help with this new laser update, shifting out a lot of things in regarding Bancho. But all players, of course, are going to be getting into this now. Wow, we saw a really early break from Nayu. Yeah, I don't think that was client. I think that was just possibly a misinput. Maybe a double tap, which is exactly what you want of your Team Mexico.
Oh yeah, for sure. And those tight gaps aren't doing well for Dex. So taking a couple of early 200s in here, but we are gonna get into this first course, and it's flickering kind of back and forth right now. A lot of accuracy drops on the side of Mexico, whereas Isaga, that player I was talking about to look for, was doing very well until they dropped in that little transition. So Mexico gonna have that pretty big lead, 10,000 points to their name, whereas I mean, Wish Tonight dropping, that's not gonna help either.
But you know what? That does help. Team Mexico. Team Mexico now knows what they have to do from now on if they want to try to secure at least a little bit of a lead. Yeah, there's no coming back from that, I think, unless something awful happens. But we're here towards the end of the chart, and Mexico hasn't even dropped yet, so we are towards this last chorus, which is really tricky, all things considered. But I don't think it's going to make up enough of a point difference. Mexico about 10,000 to 15,000. Unfortunately, she's going to miss from Mapsa, but it shouldn't be enough. But the accuracies are struggling a lot. Oh, it's going to be flickering a lot.
And how did Indonesia pull off the heist of a century? That last little key eye spelling doom for Mexico. Way too many 200s being dropped at the last moment. And Indonesia is going to steal this next point.
I'm a little bit shocked. Yeah, I'm just a little bit shocked. Indonesia performing very, very well. 10 being the most amount of 200s they have on their team. And for a long note chart, especially something like LN4, that is very, very good. But this does tell Mexico some relatively useful information that it was much closer than it was for Rice.
Yo, 100%. But Indonesia, again, like you said, still has that back pocket SV2 pick whenever they'd like. Mexico is going to have that second ban. They can't go for SV2 as it was protected, but maybe they can go for one of the more physical Rice picks for this one.
Mint Tango, maybe. I think Mint Tango could be one. Depending on how they can play Rice 3, one of none might be a pretty viable ban, but I think Mexico can probably play one of none, knowing their kind of skill sets. But I wouldn't be too surprised. I definitely think that they should be looking to try to ban one of the Rice picks, though. Minimize the amount of damage. And we're going to see Rice 3 actually getting banned.
Yeah, that fast, Jackie map, one of none. Classic Frums kind of map that you'd expect. A lot of tricky anchors there, so Mexico not really wanting to play with fire. But that does tell Indonesia, who is up to bat, the kind of maps that Mexico don't want to pick. So I think that Indonesia has a pretty good finger on the pulse for what they'd like next.
I think we're going to see Mint Tango. We're going to see Rice 5, or maybe Rice 4.
I think one of those. Oh,
no. Nope. That's fair. I guess they will protect. Not bad. Not a bad idea. Right.
Yeah, so taking out that golden card, they are going to go with Hito Mania. And honestly, looking to really hit it where it hurts for Mexico. Trying to get up 4-0 with a dominant fashion.
Yeah, once they do that, that's going to hit Mexico in the morale pretty hard. What I am glad, though, is that we're going to get to see one of the SVs this first match of quarterfinals round. I was a little bit worried that both SVs were just going to be banned. That still might happen later on, but at least we get to see this. Heat Mania being such an exciting, such a fun chart, but shockingly memorized and memo-based. Very, very memo-based. It's so easy just to make a very small mistake and have that lock you out, especially with a lot of the fast jam that happens towards the ending, and in some of these choruses. So we'll see how well.
I'm really glad that you're the co-commentator because we get that SV player perspective. I think Heatomania was described as less memo than Sing Sing Red Indigo, but still memo. So yeah, there's some reading involved, but you really do have to put in the practice and put in the effort to be able to succeed on this map. So we're gonna have to see if Mexico can stun Indonesia in order to take back some semblance of momentum.
I'm hoping that I might be seeing this wrong, but it looks like maybe somebody in Team Mexico might not have the map, which wouldn't be too great if you're Team Mexico. What would be shocking is if Team Mexico came out and pulled out some incredible performance. If we see a three-way FC, I'm gonna be honest, these quarterfinal charts are no joke. I would not be surprised if a three-way FC could beat another, could beat Team Indonesia if they ended up choking.
Yeah, 100%. I think Mapso was that person who didn't have the SV chart. I know they played SV in the last round, which was SV2. Mexico overall didn't do too well. I think they were in the bottom 3 rankings for SV2, and there were like 16 or so teams that played it. So unfortunately, not a huge bar of expectation is set for them. But again, I am hopeful. I'd like to see them start to get something going.
I don't think they were at the bottom 3, but they were definitely really low. But the thing that you have to remember is Team Indonesia wasn't exactly like incredibly high, but they were very confident on the chart, getting about a middle seed. So we're gonna get right into this. I'm looking forward to this chart. I'm looking forward to see how these players are going to perform.
Yeah, getting that first taste of quarterfinals SV. Again, the difficulty really ramped up here. And with this first start, Mapsa does seem like they're not super comfortable on the chart, getting a 96 in these first couple of notes, but still able to hit properly.
Yeah, definitely some inconsistency. I don't think it's sight red. This would be really good if it's sight red. But first, we're going to see a first miss on one of those kind of short releases that look a little bit longer, kind of deceptive, and we're going to see some more misses from Mapsa. Unfortunately, it looks like Team Mexico did not have 3 players that were able to properly learn this chart, which is very unfortunate. We're actually going to see a miss from Nayu, but I don't think any of it's going to matter when you have one of your teammates with a B rank on the chart.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It is pretty commendable, though. I think Silot and Happygamer do have some pretty good scores overall. I mean, pushing a 99 and also Silot with a 99.4, even with that one miss. So kind of crazy that Mexico had 2 very good players on SV and then, you know, really had that outside shot. But unfortunately, Indonesia did their homework. They are very well practiced and are looking to put up a very good team score. It's not a triple FC by any means, but it is very good in my books. 99.3s for 2 of the players, and then with that miss from Nayu, it probably would have been a triple 99.3.
I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe... Well, one of the problems I actually also see with a lot of teams is they kind of expect it to go to somebody else. So even other tournaments, people will often just not practice the SV because they're like, oh, I'm not going to be playing it anyways. And then something happens maybe to one of their teammates and, hey, I need you to play this SV map, and they didn't practice. So one of the best ways to do it is for everybody to learn these SV maps. But that being said, great scores from Team Indonesia, and obviously in Team Mexico as well. Like, this is not an easy chart to even FC, as seen from these scores. And dropping 200s is just common practice. So, yeah, 977.
Again, I have to commend Silot and Hypergamer. Silot with 1 great, 100, 1 miss. So that's actually really crazy. Best accuracy overall in the lobby, and Hypergamer getting the only FC on Team Mexico's side, but still, again, very impressive.
After that performance, I'm not too sure what Mexico should pick. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, just go for a long note. Let's go for a long note, hope for the best. Go for something that you guys have good scores on, and
Exactly. Take a shot in the dark. But I mean, Barracuda, I think, was their protect for the match. I think Barracuda was their protect, so they can still go for that if they're feeling confident. But again, losing that pick on LN might have shaken them to the core just too much. Maybe they're really discussing what to pick next here because honestly, the avenues seem bleak. The streets seem dark. It's really hard when you're in Mexico's position right now.
You know, there is a reason. There is a reason why there is a term called reverse sweeping, though. So, it happens. It happens. Sometimes you get off to a really bad start. All Mexico needs to do is pop off super hard. Indonesia maybe gets in their head a little bit, and there's no more rice picks maybe. Things can change up very fast. This is far from over. And Hybrid 4 is still available, by the way, since it was a little bit of a mistake over on the overlay here. But Hybrid 3 is the one that is banned. Hybrid 4 is still available. And we're gonna see LN1.
Yeah, World Execute being picked, and this is a lot more releasey compared to some of the other maps, and even some light shields towards the back half. So a lot of different elements going on for this map. If I had to kind of categorize it, I'd probably put it like as a releasey wildcard. And so Mexico trying to look for something here, trying to save their losers bracket run against Indonesia, looking for that first point.
The unfortunate part is it looks like a lot of these teams, or both these teams, are having a bit of a hard time with everybody FCing. And on a 3-minute and 30-second long song almost, that is, and on one of such a high difficulty with really awkward releases, it's gonna be rough for everybody. But I think the goal is to have hopefully Indonesia, if you're a Team Mexico, hopefully have Indonesia a little bit flipped up, so they could get these FCs.
Yeah, have to agree. And not even as FCs, I think great minimization is such an important factor for this map because again, this is the release map, but I don't think it's super hard to FC, at least for the first part. When you get into the back half, maybe that's a different story, but I'm really looking at these accuracies for the first 2 minutes or so to try to see and get a gauge on whether or not these teams are comfortable on these kinds of patterns.
If Mexico is comfortable, this could be game changing for them. But we've seen from Indonesia, just because they are not maybe as superior in terms of log notes, it doesn't matter because they're so good. So at the end of the day, it's not about who sees better, it's about who is able to perform, especially under the pressure.
Oh yeah, and Indonesia honestly have been doing really great under the pressure. We saw them stage a crazy comeback on Viden. They've been able to take the Mexico pick of chili sauce pretty convincingly as well, so really just staving off any of Mexico's tricks up their sleeves and doing well against it. But Mexico really needs to get this point right now because it is so important that Indonesia doesn't go into match point with their own pick.
That would be pretty much game over at that point, especially with a couple of rice still on the board. But we're gonna get into the song. I mean, again, as you mentioned, this chart does tend to be a little bit backloaded in terms of difficulty. It doesn't mean by any means that even up to the first chorus, it's not going to be able to be choked. But I can see a lot of 200s already being dropped on both teams. In fact, I just saw one from Martin. His client syncs up just a little bit. But the ending is going to be where a lot of things are going to happen. Scores are probably going to flip if a team is doing really good and they all of a sudden break.
Yeah, we might see another repeat of Eden. Wish Knight is going to take a miss. I don't think that's a Bancho miss as well. So early lead going on for Mexico and as well from Nayu. So two FCs broken over on the Indonesian side. That's a very good start for Mexico. This is exactly what they needed.
Maybe it is going to be just like Venom. You never know. And we're not even in the first chorus yet. Well, now we are. But breaking before the first chorus is definitely not the greatest thing to see, especially with how much of the rest of the chart is, in terms of difficulty, way higher.
Yeah, now you breaking on one of the coordination sections. Saga breaking just now. So again, I think something to the tune of 5 or 6 misses over on Indonesia's side, and they're pretty spread out as well. So a lot of damage being dealt for the Indonesians. Mexico doing really well. Mapsa 99.76, looking to hit that 992 possibly, and Silit and Martin are giving very good supporting scores, and most importantly, FCing at the moment.
99.7 is nothing to laugh at all, nothing to scoff at either. It's on such a difficult release-oriented chart like this. Just got jacks, everybody hitting the jacks. Oh, actually, Martin unfortunately dropping right after that. But it shouldn't matter too much, being still over a 20,000 point difference here.
Yeah, we're in quite a light section, so thankfully Martin can get back up to the combo cap quite easily with not too much damage being handed over. And Indonesia managing to maybe lessen that lead by just a little bit and getting under that 20,000 point differential. However, we are about 1/3 of the map from finishing, and we are getting into the, I guess, difficulty spike here. And maps are actually breaking, so the ball is kind of starting to get rolling here. Things are going into motion as Indonesia maybe just has that outside shot yet again.
Yeah, a lot of bursts, a lot of really awkward coordination, especially here in this last course. So, that being said, it's a 50,000 point difference, but it's not going to matter because Martin's actually going to break again. Oh, which is... They got to stay consistent if they want to get this win. And unfortunately, Martin just not being able to keep up with this difficulty ramp. But the score is still in their lead, but not too much, and Mapsa actually finding a drop.
Oh, it's getting close, but I don't think there's enough map left. Thank goodness that Mexico built up that lead at the start of the map, because they really needed it. 1,100 points between them. It could have been a repeat from LN4, but Mexico manages to change fate this time. They are going to secure their first point in this match.
Yeah, still out with the FC. That's... I think it was an FC. I don't think they dropped the long note.
Yeah, I think that was the only FC in the match, and Mexico really needed it, right? Because Martin was kind of struggling with the jacks and shields coming in for that back half, and then Mapsa actually taking 2 slider breaks as well, I believe, on the coordination sections. So it got really dicey at the end, but Mexico managing to get their first point.
If I was in Indonesia's shoes, they're picking Hybrid 2 right off the bat, which is a little bit surprising, I think. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go for one of the rice picks. There's still 3 rice picks that are available. There is rice 1, 4, and 5. But maybe they're feeling confident in Oxygen Destroyer. But picking Hybrid against Team Mexico is a little risky. I'm not too sure about that call, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I think they do have some kind of idea in mind with Oxygen Destroyer being picked, because a lot of its difficulty does come from like LN release stuff, but there's a lot of speed in the transitions where I think Indonesia is thinking Mexico can drop in.
That's definitely a possibility. I'm still not quite too positive it was the right call. I think there's a bit better picks for Indonesia. That being said, Oxygen Destroyer is very upbeat, very high intensity chart, and it doesn't last too long, whopping 1 minute and 53 seconds. So it could be anyone's game, but at the end of the day, we're seeing in these matches, none of these teams are anything close to subpar, and we're rarely getting to see a lot of these FCs. That should tell you the difficulty spike that we're seeing from round of 16. And I think that trend's going to keep happening through a lot of these games. I think it's going to be very rare that we're going to see consistent FCs for any of these maps.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't think we've seen... I think we've seen like 1 or 2 triple FCs from a team in total for this set. And again, you can probably extrapolate that a lot of these teams in 40M still are not going to be able to pull off the consistency that we've seen in round of 16 and round of 32. So again, Indonesia probably looking for a swift kill here, as this map, as you said, very, very short, and so a lot of difficulty in a short amount of time.
A little bit of banter going on in the OC chat over there. Poor Rev.
Yeah, poor Rev.
Hearts go out to these mappers and these map poolers. It looks like we're gonna be starting up here very, very soon. I'm not too sure, but if Mexico take this point, this could change everything. This can change shift the entire momentum of the game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Mexico would get the confidence needed going into their next pick. So Mexico really wanting to get this here, and they've shown that they're very good at hybrids of this caliber. I think you are right. Very early miss from Mapsa, so Indonesia going to take a bit of an early lead, but not too much, only about 3,000 points.
Yeah, thankfully it was very, very early, so the score difference shouldn't be too rough. We're gonna get into this first pretty intense section. All players seeming pretty consistent on this. Everything on this chart isn't really oriented towards the tricky releases or anything like that. It's just very, very intense. Best way I can put it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Indonesia actually boosting up their lead. Even though Mepsa had that early stumble, it seems like they could have done just fine without it, because Wish Tonight, Nayu, and iSaga are putting up some monstrous scores right now. iSaga is going to drop, so a bit of that lead is going to be cut down. However, Mexico really does need to step it up.
Yeah, I don't think this is enough to flop the lead, but especially the way into this ending, these LNs actually shine just in this one section. It's probably the most difficult section of the entire chart if you are not an LN player, but a lot of players seem pretty comfortable on this. Yeah, just not quite there. At least Mexico is consistent. Currently, everyone on their team keeping very similar accuracy. Wow.
Yeah, Nayu actually taking like 2 or 3 big drops, so about a 15,000 point swing in such a short amount of time. And we talked about how intense it was and how much things can change in a matter of seconds, and Mexico actually managing to take this point from Indonesia as well. So that's 2 straight points for Mexico. They are going to take Oxygen Destroyer as they suffocate Indonesia on this pick.
I love that. That was beautiful. As they suffocate them. But as I mentioned before, I don't think that was a good pick for Indonesia. You're poking the bear. You're playing with fire. Why go against the team that is stronger than you, debatably, in hybrids? And it's almost like giving them that even stronger momentum. And now Mexico, pick a long note. Just pick another long note. That's it. Just keep picking long notes. And this lead is going to be very, 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 very quickly, I don't want to say swapping over to Mexico, but
they're right on Indonesia's heels, right? I mean, they are going to get that pick. I think they're probably going to be looking towards possibly Barracuda, but here's the thing about that is that Mexico has been really good at not missing as much as Indonesia when they are taking the point. So I think it's super important that they have to pick something that maybe they don't get as good of an accuracy on, but less misses, because as we've seen on both Biden and also this last pick, Oxygen Destroyer, Indonesia has really good accuracy and really good a really good ability to minimize the amount of 200s. But it's just really those misses that really bring them down, and that's why Mexico has been able to keep it competitive and get those points. So the right pick is needed.
Oh, I was about to say LN3 probably. Doctrine is one of those a bit longer charts. Barracuda wouldn't be a bad option, but I don't think one of these short charts is what you want. Mexico seems to be doing a lot stronger, especially compared to Indonesia on these longer form versions, because Indonesia just can't quite keep that combo. And of course, this chart just about as long as LN1 at a good whopping 3 minutes and 24 seconds long. 3.5 minutes of pretty straight, difficult long notes is it's very, very, very rough. You need to have a high level of maintained consistency. Indonesia might be in a little tiny bit of trouble if they take the loss in this.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was talking with Logan about this chart a couple days ago, I think last night, and he was talking about how this map is basically based off of Secret Sleuth. So it's like you can kind of hear it in the song, right? Where it's like super swingy, super I don't know, upbeat stuff like that, and it kind of shows in the patterning. It really does play like Rave's Secret Sleuth. So it's kind of that map. If I had to compare it, a lot of like releasey stuff, a lot of it's a jack of all trades really, but I think it's a great pick for Mexico to try to take that third point, because Indonesia has shown kind of a weakness in LN patterns that they are unfamiliar with.
I'm looking forward to this match, honestly, to this round, because Mexico, if Mexico is able to win this, I'm not too sure what Indonesia could pick that could swing it back around so intently. Also, a little fun fact about this chart: when I was practicing this chart, I was actually practicing the wrong difficulty. both very similar names, and I did make that slip up. Maybe some of these players did as well, although the other difficulty is the harder one. The difficulty that plays apparently the easier one. A little miss up on my part, but looks like there's actually been a timeout.
Yeah, maybe something to shake the nerves away, because this is on the side of Mexico. They are going to be taking that timeout, and we saw it before where they were very, very not slow with their picks, but very methodical with them and using the time wisely. So I think a couple of switch outs are going to be made as Dex and Mapsa stay in. Mexico probably looking to get either Martin or Silat. I think either one will do the trick on this map. And Indonesia gonna stay with Wish Knight Nayu, and we are gonna see Danar again. Usually used as the rise up, but I guess very good at maps like these with Doctrine.
I think I'm kind of banking on Happer Gamer. Yep. I wouldn't be extremely surprised if we also saw a swap out with Silat too. But Happer Gamer so consistent. Mapsa obviously proving his worth and solid. And Dex, which is not a super familiar face for this round so far. It looks like the timeout was granted. They're probably just thinking about a game plan moving forward. If they're able to take this, if they end up losing, like, to be able to play that out and have that timeline in your head is very useful.
Exactly.
And we're going to be starting.
The future is so important here. We are starting, but it is important to note that the rice picks are kind of being taken away. After this map, Indonesia really only has rice 4 and rice 5, so it's an interesting thing to think about as the map pool kind of gets smaller and smaller. But as for now, Mexico is going to look to try to get this third point in a row. They are going to try to secure their pick and, of course, keep the momentum going.
And here we go. This is, again, a relatively straightforward chart. Nothing is too hard about it, but you just need to be able to maintain on top of the BPM, because if you slow down, if you mess up a little bit, it's very easy to do a dirty miss and tank your entire accuracy just because of one very small slip up, especially with how close together some of these long notes are. Wish Knight, wow, the 99.7.
Pretty unlucky early miss for Nayu, but again, this is one of those longer charts, so Mexico is gonna secure a bit of an early lead. Maybe again, that's something that they're gonna need, because if it's anything like Doctrine, anything can happen. Taking 2 straight misses, so lead swapped over very quickly back onto Indonesia's side.
Yeah, that's one of those dirty misses I was talking about. You miss once and it tanks you. Thankfully for Team Indonesia, when Nayu missed, it was very clean. It was in a very nice spot. But being right in the middle of the course there, especially with those swingy kind of snaps, Dex still holding on though, thankfully, with a solid 99 and currently raising. But they're gonna need to have a little bit more consistency compared to Indonesia. And unfortunately, we're actually to see a miss from Dinar. Actually, I do not have pronounced the name. I do apologize. But
yeah, things are getting closer and closer. I think we have a very good matchup in Wish Knight versus Mapsa in terms of accuracy, and then it's kind of awkward because we have Nayu who has one miss matching Happer Gamer, and then Dex and Dinar kind of at that lower side of the 99%. So really, with Nayu missing, I think things are going to slightly go over maybe the Mexico side. Oh, it's so close.
It's flickering. It's still flickering. What Mexico needs to do is they need to be able to hold. They need to hold these combos. If they don't hold these combos, it swaps right over to Indonesia. And I'm going to be honest, with only a little bit more of the song left, I don't see too much things changing. But at the same time, Indonesia needs to clean up their stuff.
Yeah, 100%. With Nayu getting back up to combo cap, this might be a bit scary because I think overall Indonesia has had a better accuracy. So we, again, as Nayu gets back up to combo cap, we are going to see Indonesia with about a 2,000 point lead, and there's only a fourth of the map left. Again, I think something needs to happen on Indonesia's side. I think they are going to need to take another break, and Dinar and Nayu has broken before. Maybe we're going to look to Wish Knight for something to happen because Dex, Mapsa, and Happer Gamer, just their team score are not enough. Nayu is gonna break at that last moment. Is that gonna be enough for Team Mexico? The map is closing out, but still 1,000 points, hugging tightly to Indonesia's side.
They need to maintain the accuracy. They need to maintain this accuracy right now. They need to finish off this very strong, or else it's not gonna matter. Not even a combo cap yet. But the scores doesn't matter because Dex is not able to maintain a high enough level of accuracy, and unfortunately Indonesia is going to be taking. Oh wow, that's very unfortunate.
Just another nail biter of an LN map for Indonesia versus Mexico, and we've seen it time and time again. This, like, any map can be decided in the last half, and not even the last half, like the last 10-15 seconds. It's been so close as the map closes out, and really Indonesia did well to lock in and get this point, but by no means was it a clean win.
Mapsa and Happer with 2 FCs on that chart. 2 FCs on that chart, and they unfortunately did not get the win there. That is very unfortunate. We're gonna see Rice 5 coming out, Mint Tango. Lovely chart, although definitely not the worst choice. I'm not too sure about it. In such a high stakes moment like this, maybe Rice 4 or something is a little bit more suitable, but Rice 5 still very nice. Pretty quick, pretty upbeat, lots of bursts. So as long as Indonesia can hit that and Mexico can't, then they would potentially win this, because it is going to be match point for Indonesia. Mexico has a lot of work to do if they want to catch up.
Yeah, Mint Tango has a lot of, not even speedy sections, prolonged speedy sections. So we are going to see a lot of like single streams or maybe a couple jumps thrown here and there. On some weird snaps, we have a lot of 6, which would equal to about 255 streams, but also a couple of 8th notes slithered in as well, just to kind of keep up that physicality and really keep you on the toes as long as you're trying to hack it.
End of the day, I think the team with the stronger stamina is going to come out on top here. Indonesia, by any means, not having a free win, by the way. Mexico really claiming and showing how strong they are in terms of ratio for the charts they can play. So if they can stay consistent, they can definitely take it. But it would have to take a little bit of work there.
Yeah, Mexico really just pinned onto this wall here. Not a lot of room to wiggle, and they are going to need to take this point over Indonesia in order to have an outside shot at getting tiebreaker. They haven't taken a Rice map so far, losing on chili sauce, and I think that's maybe the only Rice map chosen, I believe. So maybe things can change here. Maybe they knew something was up when they had that first pick in chili sauce. I think that they should be able to be fine physically, just really in those key eyes, anything can happen.
One thing I've noticed about this chart, I'm not too sure if this is going to be a common practice or a hot take, if you will, but this chart is unfortunately going to see an early miss from Lunix. Kind of taking the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say this chart is pretty consistent in terms of SCing. What's going to be the big difference, big game changer, is going to be whether or not a team can accurately hit it and maintain a high enough accuracy, as it is relatively straightforward. But unfortunately, Lunix still with a little bit of nerves going on, I think.
Exactly. I think you put it very well, like straightforward. Maybe in terms of the patterning, again, the snaps are a little funky at times, but they should be fine overall in terms of patterning. They're very, very light and not too many like crazy trills or anything like that. Indonesia, Wish Tonight going crazy as per usual, but Rakanovan is going to take a bit of a drop, gonna miss here, but with Saga giving a very good supporting score of 99.73, with that being better than any other player on Mexico's side.
Saga actually dropping there.
Yeah, it's a bit dicey now. The lead is slowly starting to creep over to that middle point. However, 8,000 points is quite a lot right now.
Yeah, Mexico keeping the combo, which is nice. It's just their accuracies are nowhere near strong enough to be able to compete with Team Indonesia, especially on something as crazy like the 99.9 that Wish Tonight basically has. Wish Tonight a good like 10, 15,000 points over anyone else in this entire lobby right now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him in the beginning of the broadcast, how this is one person you look towards to be top scoring so many of the picks in this set. Deck's gonna take a drop as well, so only one FC on Mexico's side, and that's Happer Gamer with a 99.5.
Oh, but Saga trading.
Yeah, Saga trading again, and Rakanovan even dropping. Wish Knight still with the only FC on Indonesia's side, and it's very, very close, but Wish Knight just really holding up that lead for Indonesia.
Yeah, well, I do apologize for saying the chart was a bit on the easier side for FCing. And unfortunately, Deck's gonna find another miss. I don't see them coming back from this. This is about a 15,000 point lead after the point, especially when they get to the combo cap. It's gonna be nearly 20,000. And we're here towards the end of the chart, and it looks like Indonesia is most likely gonna be taking this.
Yeah, it is very, very hard to come back from 20,000 points. Saga is going to take a drop.
That's not going to matter.
Doing though, going to be traded out by Lunix previously, and Happer Gamer doing well to FC. Everyone on the Mexican side doing such a good job in the set overall, but it was not enough. So many twists and turns in this match, but Indonesia is going to take it 6-2. It honestly, on paper, it was not a 6-2. So many maps swung over to Indonesia's side on the final couple of seconds. I mean, we had Doctrine and Vaden just being stolen away from Team Mexico. The outcome could have been totally different if one miss didn't happen. But they did, and Indonesia is going to take it 6-2. So congratulations to them for advancing through the loser side onto quarterfinals, semifinals, or actually
they're still in the
round of 16 match
against team either Japan or Team Ireland, whoever wins out of that match. Japan being the higher seeded team at seed 17. Wow, what a match! Something I've noticed about all these matches that we've had so far is they've always been close. It doesn't matter what the teams are, even if the scores aren't, even if like the final score, like 4-0, whatever. Even if that's not close, every single match, it just rode on either a little bit of misses, a little bit of act drops. There's nothing too crazy. So, yeah, this is a scary bracket. Losers bracket is definitely not free.
No, not at all. And we are gonna have a couple more matches later on, a big block. About in 4 to 7 hours. That's going to be started off with Hong Kong versus the Netherlands. But for us, that's going to be it for now. We hope you guys enjoyed this match. Hope you guys can catch a couple later. But that's going to be me, Dynascape, and Basil signing off. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
See y'all. Congratulations again to Team Indonesia, and great job to Team Mexico for making it this far in the tournament. takes a lot of skill to do so. So, congratulations.